Hi, this is Linda with Make It Now. I wanted to have you come along with me on my quilting journey. Now, most of my crafts have been needlepoint with paper, different items like that. This is my first attempt on quilting, and I know it's a lost art, but I'm bringing it back because it's awesome. It's awesome. So I'm going to take you with me on my journey. So when I first started to do quilting, it was because my neighbor down the street had made the most beautiful quilts, and I thought, I can do this. I know I can do this. So one day I went over to YouTube, and I'm not going to give you all the instructions unless you want me to, but they're everywhere. You can search it up on the YouTube and learn everything you need to learn, except for a few things which I'm going to tell you about because I had to figure it out myself. So the first thing I started doing was, you know what, I like to do things quick. You know, I heard that making quilt is a marathon. Well, I didn't like that name. I wanted to make it now, right? So I found some things that I could make in a day, and they're called rag quilts. And let me show you what that looks like. This is a rag quilt. I just simply made individual squares, and I learned how to make these squares perfectly square. There's a trick. You can look at it on YouTube. Unless you want me to show you, I'll be happy to do that. But the rag quilt is where it just kind of has this fringe in between. This you can make in a day. Wow. This is a lap quilt. It's not a huge one, but it's big enough to wrap around and put it in your car. It's very durable and it's washable. So this is a rag quilt. The back, I just found some material. Matter of fact, there's a name for it. It's called after quilt. You might have pieces left over. You create the back. The back doesn't matter, okay? You can make it as creative as you want, make it plain, make it with a sheet. You probably have sheets in your closet that are cotton that you can use for backings. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. All right, so this is the rag quilt. Now I made like 10 of these. I gave one to my sister already because she's dealing with cancer, and I thought, you know what, I want her to be wrapped up in something that I made. So that's what I did. I gave her that quilt. All right, so let's take a look at the next one. Here is another rag quilt, and the reason why I bring it to your attention is because see all these pictures in the middle? They were made by my mother. She had a kit called Tri-Chem. I don't know if you remember Tri-Chem, where you can paint on material. Well, she loved the cartoons, and so she made all of these with her Tri-Chem. And this one here as well. It's the Spooky, but it's in a blue, and I thought I'm still going to use it. So I added blue trim around it to finish it off, to make it kind of a bigger quilt because it was too small. So now I have this hanging in my hallway. But take a look at the back. I used a piece of, I guess it's flannel, Tinkerbell, and I pieced her together. That was interesting because I had to make sure all the pieces were in the same place so that it would look like a person by the time I was done. So this was the one that I made with my mother's Tri-Chem. Okay, so that is a rag quilt. Now I'm going to show you this rag quilt because this was my very, 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 very first one. And I learned about jelly rolls, and I'm not talking about the kind you eat. This is called a jelly roll rag quilt. And the reason why is because, see, when I first started, I thought I had to do it this way. Well, I learned later that I didn't have to do it this way. I could do anything I wanted. But I started out by making these long jelly roll strips. You'll see that they're stripped, each square. See how they're stripped? There's got stripes in here because those are individual 2.5 inch rows of fabric. So a jelly roll could be like, I don't know, really long. It's this ball of, it's this round thing. Let me see if I have any that I could show you. This is a jelly roll. It's just a roll that I made this. You can buy them, but why not? If you got scraps of material, make it yourself. It's just 2.5 inch length, and I just would do like about, I don't know, 3 feet of each color, and I would just roll it into this roll. And then I can use these for my casings, my borders, whatever I can use it for. Or I can make a quilt, which I did. I made a quilt. I sewed all these rows together. I made an 8-inch square, and then I did my magic here, the fringe. This was my very first one. Matter of fact, I think the other one was pretty close to first. This was my very, very, very first one. The only reason why is because I went to the store and bought this material specifically to make this jelly roll quilt here with a fringe. Wow, isn't that cool? All these different colors and materials. This is what I did. And this is the kind I gave to my sister as well. So this was my first jelly roll rag quilt. Right. Then I started thinking, you know, I get bored real quickly. I made about, I don't know, 8 or 9 of those. And you can get real creative and you don't get bored. But I got bored with the technique, and I thought I had to learn another technique. So this is what I did next. This is what I made next. You see the whole thing? Yep, it's an elephant. Can you see the elephant? Well, this was my very first ever attempt on making an applique quilt. And I did the back, which I only had some material. I had blue, and then I had this little lion material, so I used it. And I completed the back. The back doesn't matter, the front matters. I did a couple things wrong, but I just kept going. See my applique? If you hear it, it's a little crunchy because I accidentally, and I didn't know any better, I left the fusing inside. Now, I used the wrong fusing. I used the heavy-duty fusing. You need to use the lightweight fusing. Then you can do it and you won't feel a crunch. So that was my attempt, but this is mine, so I don't care what it came out to do. Then I did all this stuff on the outside. What I did first was I created the quilt itself. I just pieced a bunch of squares together, and I tried to match it like Aztec-y, African kind of stuff, and I added all kinds of material on the outside. Then I appliqued the completed elephant on the top. So the thing about this is that when I first started making this one, I went on Etsy and I found a pattern and I bought it. I bought this elephant pattern. I got it, no instructions. Well, how do I do this? And so, man, that's what took me the while, is to figure out how to do it. Because how do you put the trim around an elephant? So I learned that you cut the whole thing out in black as your background. Then you lay your pieces on top as you go, and you iron down, and then you sew around the edges. That's how I did this applique. Now, I did make another one correctly that I'm going to give away as a present this year. This one's mine. So then I got very excited about doing a few more like that, and I thought, what can I do next? I'm going to make a kitty cat. Isn't that cute? I kind of cheated. I saw a picture, and I go, you know what? I can just draw it. So I drew it myself. So I did this pattern myself. And if you'll notice the back, I also learned how to quilt using my free motion foot. Matter of fact, I never used it. I've sewn for 50 years. Never ever have I used a free motion quilting foot nor a walking foot. I didn't even have one. I had to buy it. That's just recent. Those are the only things that I had to really buy, except for some supplies and my materials. But on the back, if you'll notice, the quilting, look how pretty that is. It's all sewn around, and I just did a bunch of, squiggles. I had no rhyme or reason for it. And this Paris material in the background. This is so cute, and it's just a lap quilt. Just goes around you. You can watch TV. So this is a present for Christmas. Then I made this. I thought, you know what? I'm going to make some more appliques. Can you figure out what this one is? It's a turtle, a sea turtle. I had this material already, and I thought, oh, I could put a sea turtle on it. So I did. So that's what I made next. I'm having so much fun appliquing. This one was the last quilt I made that has an applique on it. And I designed it myself. I saw a picture and I drew it big. Put it on a big piece of paper, and I made a fox. My husband goes, I want one, because he loves foxes. So he might be getting one for Christmas. And so on the back, because I didn't have a big piece of sheet or anything big, I just pieced a bunch of squares together, leftover material. So that's my fox. So then I go, well, hey, let me go back to this. Let me go back to this lion one. Let me go back to this lion one. Oh my goodness sakes. I got to tell you something. This lion one, this first one, stumped me. It stumped me so badly that I had cut all the pieces out, laid it on the floor, had it all over the place, a big mess in here. And I go, man, this is just too hard. I packaged it all up, put it in an envelope, and stuck it away. That afternoon, I thought, I'm not going to let this get to me. I'm not going to let it defeat me. I pulled it back out, and then I ended up making this elephant. And I am so glad I pushed through that hard point, that place where I had no understanding. I pushed through it, because then I made all those other ones. And not only that, the next thing I did, wow, you guys have to see this, because it's going to give you some ideas. You've ever have some of those I don't know, embroidered things from grandma and you don't know what to do with it, because it's like, gosh, I don't have enough table space to put these things on, and they're kind of old-fashioned. Well, this is what you can do with it. I put together, and I'm working on it still, because you can see the safety pins are still in here. I'm getting ready to quilt it on my machine. I took all the pillowcases, all the table covers, and I cut 12-inch squares of each of these off of the pillowcases. This one in the middle was is a lady, you'll see her, but this just flowed, so I put it down. I just ironed it down, and then I sewed it down. This one was given to my sister in a bag. It just had a bunch of these pillowcases and tabletops and runners and undone pieces. And I just pulled out the ones that I could use. And I think there was only one that I couldn't use. And this was the end of a pillowcase. This was the bottom of a pillowcase. And so then all I did was I added another piece of material on the bottom of it and sewed it down and made a square. So you can take all of those things, those old t-shirts or whatever, and you know what? You think, oh, how do I do a t-shirt? It's so stretchy. What I did, and I had to do it with this one, because this one was so fragile. This piece was so fragile, the material was so thin, that I took fusible, very lightweight interfacing that fused on both sides. So what I did was I fused the item onto it, and then I peeled the back of the paper and I ironed it onto another piece of material that matches this. It's actually the back of that pillowcase. So now I have a perfect square that is easy to sew now, because it's not all buckling and too frail. So that I thought, okay, well, these are all so old that I did the same for each square, and it's like you can't even tell. It's just so beautifully put together. You can't even feel the crunchy. You can't know that there's anything inside. And so that's what I did with this. I'm in the process of right now quilting it. I'm trying to decide how to do that. So what do you do with the ends of the pillowcases? You see all this? I thought I got to do something with it. So I have some of these left over from the pillowcases. And so what I did was I wanted to trim the edge of this quilt. So that's what I'm in the process of doing. And what I'm gonna do, it's just, I had to figure it out. It took me 8 hours. It did take me all day to do this because I wanted to do it perfectly square. I added these little stripes in between that is actually from the same material of these. So I didn't pull in any new material. This is all vintage material. Even the back is vintage material from the pillowcases themselves. So I didn't waste a thing. So then I'm going to take these and then I'm going to trim the edge of my quilt by folding in both sides and ironing it down so that this becomes the edge of my quilt. When I get done with that, I'll show it to you. So that's what I'm working on right now. Hi, this is Linda again. Hey, I wanted to show you something. So my neighbor who got me started into quilting, she really loved the rag quilts, but she says, why don't you try to make a regular quilt? And I thought, well, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. I did it. And take a look at this quilt. It's on my bed. I'm keeping this one. I love wrapping up in this quilt. The material that I got was from Walmart. Yep, Walmart material. And on the back, I just grabbed an old sheet that I had. I didn't even like this sheet. Matter of fact, the reason why I didn't like this as a sheet, because I like white sheets because you can see stuff, right, in your bed when you're eating crackers or whatever. I can't see it on this. I couldn't see if there was any ants or any bugs. So I don't want this as a sheet. So I used it for the back of my quilt and it was a perfect size. Then I also used contrast a little bit and put a burgundy border. Now the green, if you notice my walls, they're very minty, and this was perfect color for my bed. So these are the materials that I got at Walmart. Now, I got so excited about making this quilt that I ended up with a little material left over and I made pillowcases. I have a video on how to make pillowcases. It's out there somewhere. And then I got so excited, I go, you know what, I want to make pillow shams. So I made a pillow shams. And so it's even got the hole you can put your pillow in. And I just sat down and how do I make that? I just made it. With my sewing experience for the last 50 years, I was able to put it into making these quilts. This is my amazing bed. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I just had to add that to my quilting journey. I just shared with you a little bit of my journey. So of course this is my final one I'm working on right now. It's not my final, it's the last so far. But I wanted to learn different techniques too. So I like fast. The rag quilts, fast, and they're beautiful. Those you could do, especially if you're a beginner. And I hope you're a beginner. I hope you get to start making these. So then I went into this other phase. Let me show you this quilt. I like it. Oh, I just love this one. Now what I did with this one, because I like to do different things, I don't want to just keep it the same, I added lace. So I have lace on every square. Some I ironed, I sewed on both sides, and some I left open, like the fringed ones I just left. This is called a sew as you go quilt. I made each square individually with the batting, with the back, and with the border, and then you connect it. And now if you want to learn how to do this one, you can go on YouTube and click on the stitch as you go quilt or something like that, and that's what I did. This is phenomenal. Now I added my own little delicacy to it by adding lace. You just sew those strips that I told you about, and you sew them on a square sideways, and then you just piece them all together. This is my latest one. I absolutely love this technique. This one's beautiful. Now on this one, I sewed the edge all around by hand. I just love handwork sometimes. I just want to sit and watch a movie and just sew. I can do that. And other ones I sewed on the machine, which were my applique quilts. I sewed those on the machine. So this is my quilting journey. I hope that you find joy in making these, because every one I make, I have a person in mind, or I have a home or a shelter in mind, or, you know, because you can't really sell these. They're priceless. You can't put a price on these, and nobody's going to pay $75 to $100 to $50 to $200 for a quilt. That's how much time and effort you've put in. But as a gift, what a gift. And you have plenty of time. It's what, February, March of 2026 right now. Start now. You'll have Christmas presents. Just pull out your old sheets, your old material, things, clothing, whatever. Like I said with the t-shirts, just iron on that fusible on the back, make it nice and stiff, cut your 10 to 12 inch squares, even 8-inch squares, whatever, and make a quilt. Oh my goodness. Again, everything's on YouTube. Again though, if you want me to show you anything, please let me know. Well, you have a wonderful day today and enjoy quilting.